Say free Palestine and we go. Good.
In the days leading up to the Europa League clash between Ajax Amsterdam and Maccabi Tel Aviv, the atmosphere in the city was already electric, but not just because of the match. Tensions were running high, fueled by a series of provocative actions by Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. The group's behavior in the days before the game set the stage for what would soon erupt into violence. A video surfaced showing Maccabi supporters tearing down a Palestinian flag from a local building, chanting anti-Arab slogans as they paraded through the streets. The act struck a nerve in Amsterdam, a city already on edge due to its complex history with the Israel-Palestine conflict. But the unrest didn't stop there. The night before the match, the same fans escalated their provocations, vandalizing property and even assaulting a local taxi driver. Eyewitnesses reported seeing heated confrontations between Maccabi supporters and local residents, as the growing hostility began to spill out onto the streets. What was meant to be a sporting event was now a flashpoint, with emotions running raw and a backdrop for ongoing geopolitical tensions. It was a night that promised fierce competition. On November 7, 2024, Amsterdam's iconic Johan Cruyff Arena was set for the showdown between Ajax Amsterdam and Maccabi Tel Aviv during the game opening. Firstly, the Israelis were seen shouting through a minute of silence for victims of Spain's floods, presumably because Spain has recognized the Palestinian state. As the match unfolded, Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters, notorious for their fervor, began to cross the line. Scenes emerged as some fans were seen tearing down Palestinian flags and then attempting to burn one, provoking outrage that would last into the night. By the time the referee blew the final whistle, Ajax had claimed a sweeping victory. But with tensions running high, the real chaos was about to unfold. As fans spilled out of the arena, the streets of Amsterdam quickly turned wild. What started as a sporting event exploded into something dangerous. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans spilled out into the streets of Amsterdam. Fans were reported to be armed and attacking locals. Inevitably, locals would not stand for this. Thus, the night would only worsen. Groups of residents, some on scooters, ambushed the Maccabi supporters, shouting pro-Palestine slogans. Videos quickly surfaced showing clashes between the two groups. The streets of central Amsterdam were quickly overtaken by the violence. The police, struggling to contain the growing unrest, deployed additional officers throughout the city, but the violence continued to spread. By the end of the night, 62 people had been arrested, mostly for public disorder, vandalism, and violent behavior. 5 individuals were hospitalized with serious injuries, while several others suffered minor wounds in the street fights. Tensions remained high across the city, with authorities scrambling to restore order in the wake of a night of violence. We shouldn't ignore how this event was deeply tied to the broader geopolitical conflict between Israel and Palestine. The events in Amsterdam on November 7, 2024, sparked intense coverage from global media outlets, which framed the attacks as a deeply troubling reflection of rising anti-Semitism. Reports described the post-match violence as a coordinated hit-and-run assault targeting Israeli fans, with Maccabi supporters being ambushed, assaulted, and chased through the streets by local residents. The chaotic scenes, captured on social media, quickly spread across the internet, and commentators began to draw parallels between these attacks and historical instances of violence against Jewish communities.
At this very moment in Amsterdam, Jews are being attacked at multiple locations with brutal force. It's a pogrom in action. I call upon the Dutch authorities, the Amsterdam authorities, to act immediately to prevent further injury and to prevent the loss of lives.
Such as the pogroms of the 20th century. This is only more evidence of Western media's selective reporting. Politicians from both Israel and the Netherlands swiftly condemned the violence. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was vocal in his condemnation, likening the attacks to the dark days of Kristallnacht and urging Dutch authorities to act decisively to protect Israeli nationals and prosecute those responsible. Prime Minister Dick Schoof expressed his deep shame over the events, calling them utterly intolerable and vowing to bring the perpetrators to justice. Amsterdam's mayor, Femke Halsema, labeled the violence as a terrible anti-Semitic outburst, emphasizing the city's commitment to multiculturalism while calling for increased security measures to safeguard Jewish communities. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also condemned the attacks, reinforcing Europe's commitment to combating all forms of hatred and anti-Semitism. Again, there was near silence on the racist, violent hooliganism of the Israelis, which provoked the conflict in the first place. As investigations into the violence in Amsterdam continue, it's clear that the events following the Europa League match were not just a random outburst of hostility, but a reflection of the broader tensions tied to the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. While authorities work to bring justice to those involved, the consequences of this violence echo far beyond the streets of Amsterdam. The hatred ignited by this clash is part of a larger, dangerous narrative, fueled by the ongoing violence in Gaza, where Israel's military actions have sparked widespread anger across the world. And instead of creating security for Israelis, these actions are only generating more hostility and making all communities less safe. Media coverage of the Amsterdam riots, while widely condemning the violence against Maccabi fans as anti-Semitic, often overlooked the provocative behavior of the Israeli supporters themselves. In many major outlets, the narrative was shaped to focus on the victimhood of Israelis, with little attention given to the hooliganism, vandalism, and inflammatory actions of the Maccabi fans before, during, and after the match. This selective reporting contributes to a distorted narrative, one that fails to address the complexities of the situation and instead manipulates public perception, sidelining the actions that led to the violence. By framing the events solely through the lens of anti-Semitism, major media outlets risk perpetuating a one-sided story that does little to foster understanding or promote peace. If you stuck around to the end here, thank you.